Today, we're going beyond the usual tourist spots and diving deep into Troodos' natural beauty. Viewpoints, waterfalls, village life, and ancient monasteries. Cold air, old forests, epic views, and a Millomeris Waterfall hike that tested our patience. But more on that in the video. If you're curious about Cyprus travel, off-beaten-path adventures, hikes around Platres, Omodos, and Kykkos Monastery, stick around. We woke up super early, but why is the sun awake? Before us, we pointed north from Nicosia toward the Troodos range. It was 10 degrees Celsius when we left. And let me tell you, as the road climbed, that number dropped faster than my hopes of staying warm without gloves. The Troodos Mountains cover about a third of Cyprus and are home to wild forests, waterfalls, and the peak known as Mount Olympus, rising up to 1,952 meters above sea level. First stop, Amiantos Mine Viewpoint. This place used to be an asbestos mine, and now it's just this vast, surreal look at Cyprus from up high. The views stretch forever. Valleys on one side, peaks on the other, and the road curling like a snake beneath us. Honestly, if you ever wondered what Cyprus looks like beyond beaches and cities, this is your answer. So, onward and upward into the heart of the Troodos forest. We were driving deeper into these sprawling woodlands when we bumped into something cool. The stinking juniper. Yes, that is a real thing. It's part of the same family as the cypress tree. But trust me, the name is not just for show. You sniff it and go, yep, nature's putting on a show. We took a little forest walk and instantly regretted our life choices because the thermometer said 4 degrees Celsius and neither of us packed the warmth of 10 coats each. My hands were basically frozen to the iPhone, but we needed content. Dedication, right? Next stop was the Sun Valley Olympus Cafe car park. Deeper up the mountain, and honestly, it felt like we were breathing cold marshmallows. The altitude now? We were hugging the clouds at around almost 2,000 meters up. And guess who forgot gloves? Yep, that was us. A short walk brought us to the highest point in Cyprus, near the military base that's off-limits for filming. But don't worry, the views make up for it. Seriously, you can see half the island from here. The sea on one side, and ancient mountains on the other. We admired the views, got cold, and then realized that we truly were freezing. So, we made the executive decision. Let's descend and find warmer things. If you're planning a Troodos Mountains trip, staying overnight here at Troodos Hotel and Spa is a great idea. It's comfy, warm, and honestly, after the cold adventure up top, it felt like a hug from the universe. After dropping our bags, we headed down toward Pano Platres. We've a long list of adventures, and time is ticking. We are now in Pano Platres, acting like confident hikers. The task was simple, at least in our mind. So the mission was the Millomeris Waterfall. The signs say it's a pleasant hike from Pano Platres. Let me tell you, the signs are somehow lying. It's a medium difficulty trail, which in Cyprus terms means you better have the knees of a 20-year-old athlete. Well, to be honest, we are not 20-year-old anymore, and far from being any decent hiker. It starts with these steep downhills, which are fine. Then you reach this lovely bridge, which is like the perfect photo spot. Cross the bridge to the other side, and from there it's uphill again, turning into a never-ending uphill battle. We walked for over an hour. No waterfall, not even the sound of waterfalls. Just me, my wife, and the sound of our own heavy breathing. And then from this point onwards, the climb became impossibly steep. After 90 minutes of searching, we hit a wall, both literally and mentally. We were starving, agitated, and I was pretty sure we must have taken a wrong turn somehow. Now we were following a cat, hoping it would lead us to the waterfalls. So this is where we ended up. There was no waterfall in sight. From this point onwards, the trail started going downhill again. We gave up. Yes, we failed. We did not want to go downhill again, which meant more climbing back up later on the return journey. But you know what? Knowing when to quit and find a sandwich is a vital travel skill. But I was not done with this waterfall. And there is no way we are leaving Troodos with a task left uncompleted. So, don't go anywhere. We will try again later in this video. Back in the village, almost all restaurants were closed, which felt like cosmic punishment for failing to reach the waterfall. Follow your nose, they say. We walked back up to the village, half frozen and fully cranky, and the scent of grilled cheese led us straight to Cleopatra Le Bistro. This place is a gem. It's got that chic bistro vibe, but with a mountain hospitality. We had coffee that actually brought me back to life, and some incredible finger food. Powered by carbs and caffeine, my wife was ready to conquer the world again, or at least the next village. So once more we hit the road this time, driving downhill to our next destination. We're now in Omodos, and honestly, I think that my wife might have fallen in love. It's located in the Krasochoria, meaning the wine villages, and it's about a 20-minute drive from Platres. About 300 people live here, but today, it feels like the heart of the island. The second we hit the cobblestones, my wife spotted Lithos Jewellery. I guess that travel is about culture, and jewelry is culture, because she went inside and disappeared. This shop right here is a dangerous spot for your wallet, guys. You've been warned. This village gives you the perfect excuse to wander. And it is exactly what Omodos is made for. Omodos is a traditional village tucked into the Troodos Mountains in the Limassol district of Cyprus. Actually about 40 kilometers northwest of Limassol city, on the slopes of the mountains, at an elevation around 800 meters above sea level. In geographical terms, the village covers roughly 14 square kilometers. That's cozy for a mountain village, but big enough to stroll its winding old lanes, explore wineries, wander alleys, and still feel like you're discovering something new around every corner. Once again, we followed our noses, and that led us towards the heart of the village. Here, cafes line the edges. Tables welcome visitors, people laughing, plates clinking. This is the heart of Omodos. Not staged, not polished, just alive. And right beside it, quietly commanding attention, stood the Millomeris Waterfall Monastery. This monastery is one of the most important religious sites in the Troodos region. It dates back centuries and is believed to house relics connected to the Holy Cross. You feel the weight of history before you even step inside. As usual, ladies are required to cover up. So yes, my wife borrowed one of those long robes they provide. Stylish? Debatable. Necessary? Absolutely. Inside, everything slows down. Thick stone walls, dim light, icons that have watched generations pass. It's quiet in a way that feels respectful, not awkward. We walk slowly, no rush, just taking it in. The gold-plated iconostasis is simply breathtaking. The air smells like incense and old wood. They have pieces of the Holy Cross here. Even if you aren't religious, the craftsmanship in the wood carvings is just amazing. Before Omodos was a village, a small cave with a wooden cross inside was uncovered. And to honor it, a tiny chapel was built over the cave. Over the decades that followed, that chapel grew into a full monastery, attracting monks, pilgrims, and attention from far beyond Cyprus. Some traditions say the monastery existed before Saint Helena even visited the island around 327 AD, and that she may have left behind relics, like part of the holy rope used during Christ's crucifixion. Every year on September 14th, the monastery celebrates Holy Cross Exaltation Day, one of the biggest religious festivals in Cyprus. For 3 days, locals and visitors gather in the square, with stalls, music, and devotion. A must-see if you time your visit right. After the monastery, we did my favorite thing. We ditched the plan. We turned into the smaller alleys. Some of them were the kind that barely fit 2 people side by side. And this is where Omodos really shines. Every 10 steps, something stops you. A tiny shop, a handmade sign, lace curtains fluttering in a window, or cats just lazing. It's like a maze, but the fun kind. The kind where getting lost feels productive. Have you ever been somewhere where you don't mind not knowing where you're going? Let me know, because Omodos is exactly that kind of place. At one point, we stumbled into a medieval grape press, just sitting there quietly, like it's always been. This village has deep winemaking roots, and suddenly it all made sense. The layout, the storage rooms, the rhythm of the place. Then came the olive oil shop, and wow, we tasted a local bottle. It was peppery, smooth, and fresh. The kind that doesn't need anything fancy. Just bread, maybe tomatoes. That's it. It instantly reminded me of Italy. So of course we had to buy a bottle to bring back home. As of the latest 2021 census, Omodos had about 340 residents. A century ago, the village peaked at over 1,000 inhabitants. But like many rural mountain towns, people moved toward bigger cities in search of jobs and opportunity. There are a few colorful stories about how the name Omodos came to be. One says it comes from the Greek phrase, "Take your time," very fitting for a village that invites slow wandering. It's part of one of Cyprus's classic wine-producing areas, but it is also well known for crafts like narrow-knit lace, traditional bread called Arkatena, and other artisanal foods. Part of what makes Omodos stand out is how every corner feels lived in and authentic. You find cobbled plazas, stone houses with colorful balconies, and workshops where artisans still produce goods, the way they have for generations. In Omodos, you'll find a museum of narrow-knit lacing, an icon museum, old taverns tucked into alleys, and, not forgetting, the monastery at the heart of it all. We kept wandering, turning left, then right, then nowhere in particular. Until suddenly, We were standing in front of Dempsey Glass Studio. We walked in and, well, see for yourself. There was glass everywhere, colors dancing in the light. Bowls, vases, delicate pieces that look like they'd shatter if you breathe wrong. Besides wine, Omodos has a strong tradition of craftsmanship, and glasswork is a big part of it. You see it again and again. Studios, workshops, artists shaping molten glass into something beautiful. A few turns later, we found Homodeu's glass workshop. And this is another reminder that this village doesn't mass-produce charm. It makes it slowly, by hand. Let's take a quick look inside, shall we? My wife did not buy anything here, but from this point onwards, the alleys were full of souvenirs, crafts, and jewelry shops. Of course, she kept stopping every 10 steps. Scarves, ceramics, little handmade things that whisper, "Take me home." Suddenly, just like that, we were back at the main square. Had we already walked the whole village? Maybe, maybe not, but it felt complete. This time, I pulled my wife away from the shops. I felt that was the wise thing to do, and we crossed to the other side of the square. Buildings thinned out, and slowly, the village edge appeared. And that's when you know it's time to move on. But my wife was not yet done with window shopping. She went full circle and somehow managed to find some more souvenir shops. I waited for her 5 more minutes, and then I knew that I had to be smart about this. I looked around me, and luckily, I spotted a gelato shop. And the moment I mentioned the word gelato, she dropped everything, and she followed me. We started walking towards the gelato shop, which was also the way to the car. And finally, gelato in hand, we made our way out of Omodos and onto our next destination. We finally pulled ourselves away from the charm of Omodos. But the clock was ticking. It gets dark fast in the mountains, so we headed toward the big one, Kykkos Monastery. To get there, you've got to embrace the curves. It's located in the Marathassa Valley, tucked away in the forest at an altitude of about 1,300 meters. From Omodos, it's about a 45-minute drive of pure, winding mountain bliss. What this really means is, if you get carsick, bring some ginger ale. Kykkos is not just a monastery. It's the wealthiest and most lavish on the island. Founded in the 11th century, it's famous for holding one of the 3 icons of the Virgin Mary, attributed to Apostle Luke. If the Troodos Mountains are the soul of Cyprus, this place is the crown jewel. Let's break down the scale of this place because it's massive. We're at about 1,300 meters up, tucked into the Mara Thassa Valley. Now, for my history buffs, and even if you aren't one, listen to this. Kykkos was founded at the end of the 11th century by the Byzantine Emperor, Alexios I. Walking through the corridors is like walking through a giant outdoor art gallery. Every wall is covered in these vibrant, shimmering mosaics and frescoes. Gold leaves were everywhere. It's not just religious art, it's a masterclass in Byzantine style. The monastery has survived 4 major fires over the centuries. But like a phoenix, it just keeps coming back bigger and more golden. It also serves as a massive cultural center. There's a world-class museum inside with rooms full of ancient Bibles, silver crosses, and artifacts that make you realize just how deep the roots of Cyprus go. But the real reason thousands of people make the pilgrimage here every year is hidden inside. They have one of the 3 surviving icons of the Virgin Mary that was supposedly painted by the Apostle Luke himself. Here's the crazy part. The icon is almost entirely covered in a silver riza, which is a protective silver casing. Legend says that anyone who looks directly at the face of the icon will be blinded or cursed, because it's so holy. I wasn't about to test that theory. We spent a good hour just wandering the courtyards, watching the few visitors light candles. It's surprisingly peaceful despite its size. However, there are a few areas of the monastery where we're not able to film, especially inside the main temple, which is down there through this brown door. As we walked around, we noticed a structure with 3 giant crosses further uphill, looming over the forest like a beacon. We popped into the souvenir shop, which, by the way, has some of the best local honey and icons I've seen, and asked for directions. The monk there pointed toward the clouds and told us we could make it to the Throni before sunset if we hurried. What this really means is, our day wasn't over. We were trading the gold of the monastery for the gold of the sunset. Let's go. We drove up and up, feeling like we were literally entering the clouds. We stopped at the massive bronze statue of Archbishop Makarios III. Here's the breakdown. Makarios was basically the George Washington of Cyprus, the first president, and a hugely important religious leader. This statue is imposing, standing guard over the mountains he loved. From there, a long, beautiful path lined with religious mosaics leads you uphill to the Throne of the Virgin Mary Chapel. But the higher we climbed, the more the temperature plummeted. I was shivering, but the views? My goodness. It's called Throni, meaning the throne, because there's a traditional belief that in times of drought, the icon of Mary would be brought here to sit on her throne and pray for rain. After 3 kilometers of driving and a few hundred meters of uphill climb, we were on another level, literally 1,450 meters above sea level. For centuries, during times of terrible drought, the monks from Kykkos would carry the miraculous icon of the Virgin Mary up this steep peak. They'd place her on a wooden throne at the very top and pray for rain. It worked so often that the icon earned the nickname the Virgin of the Rain. The original wooden throne is gone now, replaced by this stunning, modern Byzantine chapel. It's an open-sided stone canopy that looks like it's floating against the sky. Walking up the path to get there is an experience in itself. The walkway is lined with massive, colorful mosaics of saints that just pop against the green pine trees. From the very top, you get a 360-degree view of the Troodos range. You can see all the way to the Morphou Bay on a clear day. Keep an eye out for the trees along the path. You'll see thousands of white ribbons and pieces of cloth tied to the branches. These are wishing trees. People tie them there as a physical prayer, asking the Virgin Mary for healing or help. It gives the whole mountain this very ethereal, spiritual vibe. But there's another reason everyone comes here. This is the final resting place of Archbishop Makarios III. You have seen this statue a little earlier. It is massive, nearly 10 meters tall. It used to stand in the capital, Nicosia, but they moved it up here in 2008 to guard his tomb. This is the Throni Bell Tower. While most old monasteries have a small bell in the courtyard, Kykkos went big. This belfry has 5 giant bells and is crowned with 3 massive golden crosses that catch the sun from miles away. As we drove back to our hotel, night fell, and my wife was feeling rather nervous. I could tell she's not a big fan of mountain driving in the pitch black. So, when we reached the hotel, to cheer her up, I brought her for a meal of champions. A fresh salad, followed by a pizza so big it had its own zip code. After a day of freezing and hiking, that first bite was spiritual. Flash forward to the next morning, and since we are on the subject of food, let me show you our breakfast buffet spread. And of course, We had the entire dining hall just to ourselves. The weather is just awesome today. It's warm and it's sunny. No jackets, no shivering. Completely different vibe. And remember Millomeris Waterfall? I told you we weren't done. I did some research the night before and discovered there's actually a way to drive almost all the way to the waterfall with minimal hiking. But the road isn't easy. Narrow, uneven, but doable if you're careful. Before we even parked the car, I could hear it. At first, it was barely there. Just this soft, steady sound cutting through the forest. Not wind, not leaves, but water. And that's when I knew. This time, we were in the right place. You'll see a set of stone steps leading down into the forest. And I love this part because it feels like you're being gently guided. No scrambling, no confusion, just step by step, deeper into the shade. Tucked into this narrow gorge, surrounded by rock walls and greenery, Millomeris Waterfall drops from about 15 meters high, making it one of the tallest waterfalls in Cyprus. And seeing it in person, completely different from photos. Mission accomplished. I'll show you the road signs on the way out. Just make sure that you drive carefully if you ever decide to visit. We walked back to the car. I was feeling proud, and my wife was happy. Now we can leave Troodos area, but there is one more landmark that I want to show you before we end this video. Watch out for these road signs if you want to drive to Millomeris Waterfall. On Google Map, search for Millomeris Waterfall sign. Along the way, we made a quick stop at the church Aios the Makarios. This small church sits along the Troodos mountain road network, not far from Platres and perfectly positioned between Millomeris Waterfall and the wine villages. This is Homodeu Winery. It sits just outside Omodos village, on the southern slopes of the Troodos Mountains. It literally means land of wine, which already sets expectations pretty high. This isn't some massive industrial winery. It's a boutique, family-run estate, carefully positioned in one of the most respected wine-producing zones in Cyprus. The domain itself is beautiful, calm, elegant without trying too hard. Vineyards wrap around the property, and everything feels spaced out, unhurried. Even the buildings blend in. Stone, earth tones, nothing flashy. As we walked around, you could see how carefully everything is laid out. This was our final stop before leaving the Troodos region. And honestly, it felt right. From icy mountain air to sunlit vineyards. From rugged trails to calm rows of grapes. The full contrast of Cyprus in just 2 days. And here's the takeaway. Troodos isn't just mountains. It's not just monasteries or villages or waterfalls. It's layers: climate, history, faith, food and wine, all stacked together in a way that feels deeply Cypriot. Next week, we're heading somewhere completely different. We're going to Paphos. So, see you in the next one.